The dust rises like a thick veil as thousands of sandals pound the dry ground. The hot wind cuts the legionnaires' faces and brings a metallic smell, as if the earth itself sensed blood. The armor creaks, the banners flutter, and the tense silence reveals more than any speech. Ahead, the general observes the narrow valley where the fog seems to move of its own accord. Rome advanced confidently, believing it dominated every inch of the world. But something in that canyon seemed too wrong to ignore. A small tremor runs through the troop, almost imperceptible, as a scout returns pale, breathless, unable to form an entire sentence. The mistake had already been made. Rome had entered that passage without knowing who was waiting for it. There is a detail that few tell us. Before moving forward, the commanders disagreed, but arrogance spoke louder. And when the first cry echoed between the stones, the empire realized that it was heading for the abyss. And it wasn't the worst. The dry sound of arrows cutting through the air breaks the silence like deadly rain. The fog opens, revealing enemy silhouettes positioned on the slopes, invisible until the last moment. The legionaries raise shields, but the attack comes from all sides, as if the mountains themselves spit spears. The formation becomes unstable, orders are lost, panic grows. Quick cuts show soldiers falling, others trying to rearrange the line, but geography stifles any attempt at defense. The general realizes too late. It was not a battle. It was a planned execution, and there's a secret that Rome tried to hide. The enemy studied the legion's every step for months, knowing its pride better than its strengths. The valley became a prison without walls, and men could tell this by the way death approached in circles, and the pressure would only increase. The rumble of logs rolling down the slope makes the ground shake. Enemies push through makeshift barriers, crushing entire ranks. The smell of burning wood mixes with sweat and dust raised in despair. The legionnaires try to raise the famous collective shield, but the elevated position of the attackers makes it all useless. Disorder grows, and men trained to win begin to retreat for the first time. The fatal mistake comes when the assistants abandon their post, creating a loophole that should never exist. Roman morality plummets. Fear takes the place of discipline. Ancient sources almost never admit this, but that morning, Rome lost its honor before it, even lost its soldiers. A messenger tries to advance to the general, but is hit before he arrives. And when the sound of an enemy horn echoes, the heart of the entire legion sinks. That was just the beginning of the quebrada. A distant thunderclap heralds the approaching storm, and the first drops begin to turn the ground into mud. The general takes a deep breath, but smells defeat before it is confirmed. His armor is heavy, his mind even more so. He tries to reorganize the troops, screams for discipline, but his eyes reveal uncertainty, and the troop notices. Slow slashes show his lost gaze as arrows fall around. The decisive mistake comes when he hesitates between advancing or retreating, breaking the rhythm that sustained the legion. The little-mentioned truth: many officers knew he wasn't ready for that command. A letter found centuries later left clear clues to this insecurity. The rain tightens, the mud grows, and the soldiers begin to sink along with their hope. With each second, Rome moved further away from salvation. The countryside becomes a turbulent swamp. The legionnaires slip, the shields sink, and every step weighs like a crime against survival itself. The fog descends thicker, making the world a grey spot where friends and enemies are confused. Screams mingle with distorted echoes. The enemy takes advantage and advances silently, attacking like shadows. Panic turns into absolute chaos. Human error appears when companions begin to attack each other, believing themselves to be enemies. Ancient documents mention a grim detail. Most of the deaths did not come from barbarian spears, but from the disorientation of the Romans themselves. The legion was blind, deaf, and alone. And when the fog moves like a living veil, the truth emerges. Rome was being erased before his very eyes. But the final blow had not yet been struck. The rain turns into a storm. The mud binds the soldiers' feet as if the ground required sacrifice. The general orders a retreat, but the passage is blocked. Men squeeze each other, pushing each other to escape. Roman discipline dissolves, the sound of armor slamming, shields falling, and desperate screams creates a symphony of defeat. An officer tries to restore order, only to be overthrown by his own men. Betrayal appears in the form of groups that abandon the entire legion to save their own skin. There is a cruel revelation in the archaeological accounts. The remains of Roman soldiers have been found facing the wrong side of the battle, fleeing. This detail Rome never officially admitted, and when a roar of victory echoes behind them, everyone understands that running away would not save them. The abyss was about to engulf the empire. From the hills, warriors emerge who seem to multiply through the mist. They advance with calculated fury, but also with respect to the moment they were about to eternalize. They knew that this would be remembered as the ultimate humiliation of Rome. The Roman troops try to form a line, but the mud, fatigue, and fear reduce them to shadows of what they were. The final mistake appears when the Roman cavalry, unable to maneuver on the ground, becomes easy prey. An enemy commander raises a flag marked with forgotten symbols, revealing something that few historians mention: that attack had a ritual motivation, almost sacred to that people. Defeating Rome there was more than war. It was ancestral revenge, and when the flag falls on the soggy ground, the message is clear. Rome would bleed there, and the night would only make it more brutal. The sky darkens as if the world were closing its eyes. Lightning cuts across the horizon, illuminating scattered bodies and broken shields. The survivors try to group up, but the enemy force breaks their formations one by one. Quick slashes show spears entering, shields cracking, soldiers shouting the name of Rome before falling. The general tries one last command, but his voice is lost in the storm. The error that's sealed. Everything appears. The banners have been torn down. For Rome, this was more than a symbol. It was the soul of the legion. To lose them was to die twice. An ancient account says that after the battle, the enemy took these banners as secret trophies, hidden for centuries. The soldiers' final sight was rain washing away blood and honor, and the silence that came after only increased the pain. Exhausted messengers arrive at the gates of the city. The rain continues, even in Rome, as if the sky reflected the distant massacre. The Senate is in despair. Nobles cry, veteran soldiers are silent. For the first time since its founding, the empire is getting a real taste of extinction. Slow cuts show temples being closed, mothers praying and generals discussing how to hide the truth from the people. And the historical revelation appears. Rome planned to erase the official records of that defeat, allowing only fragmentary versions to survive. The whole city seems to hear the echo of the dead. And when a senator murmurs that perhaps the gods have turned their faces, silence weighs more than any lament. But it still remained to understand the price of this drop. Rome was not destroyed that day, but it was never the same again. The defeat opened deep cracks in politics, exposed incompetence, destroyed reputations. The city had to reinvent itself so as not to disappear. The final consequence was painful. Rome realized that its arrogance was a greater enemy than any barbarian. The moral lesson echoes to this day. Civilizations fall not when they are attacked, but when they believe they will never fall. The empire, faced with the abyss, saw its own fragility and, for a brief moment, understood that power without humility is an invitation to ruin. And if this story has marked you, like, comment, and subscribe. This helps the channel to continue bringing hidden truths from Rome.